Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel DevOps with Cloud. In this video, let's see what is a Bastion host and how you can create a Bastion host in Google Cloud Platform. Okay, let me get started. Okay, so what exactly is Bastion host? Bastion host is nothing but it's a external facing host which will be able to access your internal machines. Okay, what do I mean by that? Let's say you have a virtual network over here. Okay, it's your Google Cloud network and you have a virtual machines of VM1, VM2, and VM3. Let's assume that, and you have only a private IPs for that. There are no public IPs, and let's assume like the 10.0.1.1 and 10.0.1.2 and 10.0.1.3. These are the three private IPs. Okay, in order to connect to those machines, how you can connect? So, for example, this is your external machine. Okay, let's assume this is your desktop or a laptop or virtual machine, any sort of virtual machine. Okay, now in order to communicate to these virtual machines, either you need to have external IP like in the public IP, but it's not suggestible to have a public IPs right in your office environments. So we'll be only having a private machines. So how can you communicate SSH into these private machines? Okay, so that there the concept comes like a bastion host. There are multiple ways that you can achieve this solution. One is like you can create a VPN, you can create bastion host, or you can create an internal serial port for that. But in this video, let's understand what's a bastion host, right? So what exactly happened is you'll be having a virtual machine, one more virtual machine like VM4 in the same network. Let's assume this was having an internal IP of 10.0.1.4. Along with the internal IP, we will be having an external IP also. Okay, external IP for this virtual machine. So what happens is you will be communicating to this virtual machine. You will be SSH into this machine using the external IP, and from here you will be communicating to the internal machines. Okay, I'm repeating again. Like in order to this bastion, this is called as bastion host. Okay, okay, bastion host is nothing but it acts as an external machine which will be able to communicate to your internal machines. Okay, so now we achieved that this machine doesn't have an external IP, and using the external IP of the Bastion host, we are able to communicate to these three machines. Okay, so now let's see how you can create the same in the Google Cloud platform. Before that, let me draw you a picture of what exactly we are going to achieve. Uh, let's take a virtual network. Let me draw it correctly. Okay, let's assume this is a VPC of GCP. Okay, and here you're having a, let's assume you created in two subnets, one with name subnet A and other with subnet B. Okay, and now you have a virtual machine over here, and you're having a virtual machine over here. So now let's assume this virtual machine is a private machine. Okay, private server. Like we'll be having some internal data and all to this machine, and you are somewhere over here, and you want to access this machine. This machine doesn't have an external IP. This will be having only the private machine, and this machine we will be creating it as a bastion host. Okay, and public connect to this machine, and from here you'll be able to connect to this machine. Okay, let's get started with this. uh, I already created a project by name Bastion demo. Okay, and if you see, this was the, if you go to the VPC networks, we are already having a default network. There are no custom networks available, and I'm only having the default firewall rules. Okay, let me go with started with this. So I already created a script for that. Okay, if you want, I can provide you that even. This completely gives you the infra that we are gonna create. Okay, but for now I will be showing you in the console, but this can also be achieved using this one. Okay, so let me execute the first two commands so that there won't be any confusion. So let me reconnect this. So what exactly this is doing is we are deleting the by default firewalls that are been there, because in order to make it a clean slate and not to have any conflicts over there. Okay, let me, okay, Bastion host ID, or else you can go from here also. If we go here, as of now, it will be, this was the project. Okay, it will go into that particular project from G-Cloud. Okay, let me paste, sorry, this was the command, right? Oops. What it does is, if you see, it is creating a firewall rules. I mean, the present firewall rules are getting deleted, and after a minute or so, all these firewalls will be deleted. Okay, you can directly go here and delete also, but if you execute this shell script, it will execute the complete command so that it will be easier for you to execute all this stuff. Let's see if it gets deleted. Okay, let me refresh this page. Yeah, all the firewalls are deleted. Let me delete the VPC also. So in order to delete the VPC, we should be deleting the internal firewall rules, okay? Because any data that is already there in the VPC, we can't delete the VPC itself. So if you are having virtual machines also, then you need to first delete the virtual, only you can delete a VPC, okay? As of now, we are deleting the default VPC that is available, and we'll be creating our own VPC, okay? You can do the Bastion host setup and all without performing these two steps also, but to make sure everything is very clean and all, I thought of deleting those. If you see, it is getting deleted. Yeah, it got deleted. Let me refresh this one. Yeah, there are no VPCs as of now, and there are no firewall rules also. Okay, so now let me create a new VPC. I'm doing this in the console just to make sure you understand, but the same command G-Cloud commands are available. Okay, so let me go to create a VPC. Okay, I'm naming it as a custom VPC, and I'm creating a subnet of subnet A. Let me the US Central one. You can choose any region of your choice, and I'm giving a 10 dot. Okay, let me. Okay, and it's fine. And let me create a new VPC, new subnet also, subnet B, and the region with Central one, and let me give it as 10.0.2.0 Okay, done. And I have created a, let me create a VPC here. So now if you see, we have created a subnet A and subnet B inside a custom VPC. Okay. Now we'll be going to create a virtual machines. One is a Bastion host, another one is a private server. And Bastion host, this Bastion host will be having a public IP, and this we will be having only the private IP. Okay. So let's create those. I think it is creating it. Okay. Now, if you go, let me go and create a virtual machine. First, I'll be creating the Bastion host. Okay, Bastion host, and let me go with the default. Let me take the small server. F1 micro will be fine for us, and go to the management one. You'll be having a networking over here, and I will be going with the custom one, the subnet. I can either choose subnet A and subnet B, but if you see in the picture, our Bastion host is in subnet A. Let me go with the subnet A machine, and I will be going with the defaults. Okay, everything is good. Let me go and create the virtual machine. We have created the Bastion host virtual machine. Let me go and create a private server one. Let me refresh. Okay, now this is a private machine. Let's assume this is the machine where you have all your client confidential data and all, and you don't want to expose this to the public world, so you're not giving any public machine. But there are some circumstances where you need to connect to this machine, right? So how you can connect that, we'll be achieving that. Go to N1, F1 micro, and if we go to the defaults, networking, here I will be choosing the subnet B. Okay, because we are creating as a private server in the subnet B. Okay, let it be. And if you see, we don't have a public IP, right? We'll be only having a private IP here. So let me external IP, I'll be keeping it as none. Okay, so that I won't be getting any public IP for this. Let's get created. If in the meanwhile, let me show you the similar gcloud commands. So this is for creating a virtual network, and this is for creating subnet A and subnet B, and this is to create a bastion host, and this is to create a public server, sorry, private server. Okay, and if you see, I am passing a parameter like hyphen hyphen no hyphen address, so that it won't be creating you a public IP address. Okay, so yes, these two are connected. I mean, these two are created, right? And if you see, Bastion host has an IP address of external IP, whereas the private server was not having any external IPs, right? So now the next thing is I need to communicate to this server, right? So how can I do? So in order to do, there will be some firewall rules that we need to set up, right? By default, for example, even if I click on SSH button over here, I can't connect to this machine. Even the Bastion host, the machine that is having the public IP also, I'm not able to connect because the firewall rules are set. We deleted the by default firewall rules, right? So let me create new firewall rules, and let me create allow SSH to Bastion host. Okay, and the network is custom VPC ingress and all. So if you see here, I can go and the target is like I can give all the machines inside this network, or else I can create some tags. So what exactly it is, for example, in this video, in this VPC, you're having multiple machines, right? The only as of now there are only virtual machine 1 and virtual machine 2. But for example, there is another machine called as virtual machine 3 here. Okay, but your virtual machine, this subnet, this VM should only communicate from here. It shouldn't communicate from here, right? So in that case, how you will be achieving it is you will be creating something called as a network tags. So in order to create network tag, let me go here in the Bastion host, and if you go edit, and if you come down a bit, network tags is there, right? Let me create a tag as Bastion host. You can create any network tag of your choice. Okay, Bastion hyphen host. Let it save. And I will be creating the same network tag for the private server also. Okay, so let me go there and create for this also network tag. Let it be private hyphen server. Okay, let me save this. Okay, let me check whether it got created or not. In the Bastion host, we are having network tag by Bastion host. Okay, let me copy this because we will be okay. We will be having it again, and the other one is private server will be having a network tag by name private server. Okay, yeah. So now let me create a firewall rule, and I'm creating a firewall rule for Bastion host only. That means if you see here, I was creating a firewall rule so that this I can able to communicate from external world to this machine. Okay, this was the thing which I'm creating right now. Allow SSH Bastion host custom VPC, and okay, and I'm creating for a specified tags only. The target tags is the Bastion host tag. Okay, and IP ranges you can give up to your choice. As of now, let me open to the world so that I can communicate from anywhere. Or else in your organizations, you can give a CIDR ranges also. Okay. And what is the port that I need to communicate to? 22 is the port. That's fine. So have created a firewall rule so that the external world can able to access to this virtual machine. Now the other firewall rule that I need to create is I need to communicate from this virtual machine to this virtual machine, right? So again, I need to create a new firewall rule. Okay. So let me create a new one. Let me name it as allow SSH from Bastion to private server. This can be any name. Okay. I'm just keeping for the understanding purpose. The network will be custom. The priority is fine, and specify target tags. That specified target tag is private server. Okay. And if you see, the source is from the source tag only. Okay, I need to communicate to this machine only from this machine. And for this machine, we have already created a network tag by name Bastion Host. Okay, that's the reason I'm creating a firewall rule in that way. So from the source will be Bastion Host. That means a machine with any machine with this tag can able to communicate to the machines with private tags. Okay, so and the other one is like TCP is fine and 22. Let me create that. Okay, I think it will be created. So fine. So what exactly have we achieved till now? We have created a subnet, two subnets, and we have created a virtual machine in both of the subnets. Okay, and we have created network tags also. Okay, let me create here, write it out here. Network tags we have created with Bastion host as well as the private server also. And we have created a firewall rules. Okay, first is to communicate from outside world to Bastion host. And other one is from Bastion host to private server. Okay, so now let's see, are we able to communicate to this particular virtual machine? Okay, you can achieve this by many ways. Either you can use the SSH button here, or you can go to Cloud Shell, or you can have your Google SDK set up on your local machine also. Okay, anything works. Let me go from SSH. So I'm presently SSH into the Bastion host. Okay, the one that we created. See, if you see, I've logged into this machine. If you see the host name, it is Bastion-host. So now that's fine. Okay, I have logged into this machine. But the next thing is, the major agenda for us is to how can we log into this particular server? Okay, so from here you can able to communicate, right? So you can use gcloud commands also for this, or you can SSH also. Gcloud compute SSH, and what is the machine name? Private server, right? Correct. Okay, and it will ask you to the phrases and all give by default. Yes, and if you see here, yeah, both the central 1A, that's fine. Let me go with that. Yes, yeah, this will fail for some reason. Okay, let me show you the error also. Yes, if you see, it failed because it is having insufficient permissions. It is not something to do with firewall. Okay, firewall is very good. With the source, if we go into the this firewall rule is kept very good. I mean, the source tag is the Bastion host and the target tag is private server. But there is something that is happening and it is not allowing us to communicate to the private machine. Okay, so what is happening here is like, okay, let me show you here. If you execute gcloud config list, okay, if you see the account that is logged in to your Bastion host is the service account. Okay, and let me show you that even. Service accounts. What is it? 470633, right? This was the service account. Either now this this service account has no permissions in order to communicate to your computing machines. So now what's the solution that you can give is either you can create a uh, you can you can initiate using gcloud init using your admin permissions, okay, or else you can give the service account the permissions for compute engines. That means, so as of now you are logged into this Bastion host, right? You are successful, and from here you must be able to communicate to the private machine. So this is a compute machine, right? And the service account is trying to communicate from here to here, but it doesn't have the required permission. So either you can initiate the permission with admin role, or else you can give the service account the required permissions. Okay, the first one is very easier one. Let me show you the second one, which is very a bit tricky. So if you go into the Bastion host, let me stop this machine. I'm stopping the Bastion host. Okay, if you're not able to understand this, I mean, I ask you to again rewatch it for one more time. Okay, because Bastion host is the most important concept in any of the cloud. This is very been asked in interviews as well as in the real world also. We'll be only communicating using Bastion host and all the jump servers or something like that. Let me go into that and let me edit this machine. So we are reaching the second one. Okay, we are giving the service account the required permissions in order to communicate to the compute engines and all. Okay, if we go down a bit, where it is, the service account, right? Okay, the service account is this one. Yes. Okay. As of now, it doesn't have any access, right? So let me go and give it to the where it is compute engine. As of now, it is showing as none. Let me give a read or write permissions. I'm giving it to the service account. Okay, the 4706333 service account, the required permissions in order to communicate to my compute engine. That's fine. Let me save. And once this is successful, I mean, once the settings are saved, let me start the machine again. I think this will be closed. Let me, okay, that's fine. Let me start this. Because we are taking ephemeral IP, right? That's the reason when we start and stop the servers, the IP gets changes. Let me log into this machine. Yeah, I logged into this machine. There is no need to communicate from command prompt. Yeah, if you see the host name, Bastion-host, right? So now let me communicate to the private one. The other machine name is private-server, right? Okay, gcloud. And if you see again, gcloud config list, the account is the same service account, right? So now gcloud compute ssh private-server. Okay, yes, that's fine. Again, it will be failing, or it might be passing also. Let's see what happens. Yes, error while connecting 4033 not authorized. Okay, let me close that. And now if you see, this was the private machine, right? It doesn't have an external IP. So after this, let me give this one. And now if you see, I logged into the private server. Let me give a host name. It is private server, right? So using this Bastion host, the machine, we were successfully able to communicate or log into the private server, right? So this is how you will be achieving a Bastion host and all. So let me repeat it once more. So we have created a virtual machine here inside a subnet A, and we have created other virtual machine inside subnet B. And this is a Bastion host, and this is a private machine. The steps that we did is, okay, first we created a firewall rule, or let me show you here. Okay, where it is. We have created a firewall rule first in order to communicate from outside the world to the Bastion host. And again, we have created now one more firewall rule from Bastion host to the private server. After these two, we were trying to achieve it from connecting to the Bastion host and from there to the private server. Okay. So in this process, we have encountered an issue with the service account. And that for the service account, we have again given the privileged permissions in order to communicate to the computing machines and all. And after that, the one thing which we need to consider is when you are communicating to any internal servers, you should be giving the this one internal hyphen IP, or else you will be getting some unauthorized issues and all. Okay, so I think that's the thing. So finally, Bastion host is nothing but if you see here, it acts as an external machine in order to communicate to your internal machines. And we can achieve the same thing using multiple options. Like you can create a cloud VPN, or else you can create a serial port of it, and you can create a Bastion host. There are multiple ways, but in this video, as we have shown into Bastion host, these are the ways. So I think that's the thing. If you have any questions or something, you can WhatsApp me, or you can comment in the comment section. See you again in the next video. Bye.